Adrian, why don't you get us going?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. It's great to have all of you here. I'm working in marketing at ScholarshipOwl, and we have, during the COVID-19, completely pivot. As you guys know, ScholarshipOwl is a paid platform, more like a productivity tool that is meant to help you find scholarships faster instead of spending 20, 30 minutes per scholarship and kind of looking and applying. We're trying to speed up the process so we can gather more scholarships for you guys. However, during this COVID-19, and some of you might not know that, but we created 3 scholarships from us that you can apply for, even if you're not a member of our platform. I will give you the link at the end of this webinar where you can apply for those 3 scholarships. And we gotten thousands and thousands of applications, and we gotten thousands and thousands of personal stories. And they were really heartbreaking. And I think that the world has forgotten the students. And that's what it seems like. Like everyone else is going to get help. People are unemployed or people in difficult situations, but it seems like the students are kind of forgotten. So we actually, our CEO, David, put our company into some sort of an emergency mode where we're only going to try to get as much awards as we can for these scholarships. So we're currently out there working with companies to get more funds for you guys. And we're also starting our own crowdfunding page where someone can come and donate scholarships directly to you. So when you are applying for our scholarships, make sure you post a picture and a story, and that will be visible for donors to be able to give you award directly. And we're going huge on this, and the whole company is in on it. We're not doing it for profit. We are just doing this just to help. And we're super excited about it. And we brought Jennifer to help us kind of have a Q&A, because a lot of you guys are sending us questions that we don't have the answers for. You know, and a lot of the questions that have been asked is, you know, can students get their money back if they decided to defer and or cancel their mission entirely? And I think most of you guys have submitted that question. But please post questions in the chat. Keep it general so everybody can benefit from that. And also, if you really feel the urge that you want to talk to Jennifer directly, ask her questions and be in a webcam, raise your hand so I can allow you to come in. But keep in mind, if you do that, you're being broadcasted to the world. So make sure you don't have any weird backgrounds or high-pitched voice in your mic. So so Jennifer, why don't you start answering the students? What about the whole money, tuition fee? Will they get something back, or what can they do about this issue?
You know, it is a big question, and it's something that students all over are asking their university, you know, for those who are already in school, can we get some money back? And there's not a universal answer. Each college is handling that differently. So if you want to know if you can get any money refunded, if you are currently attending a college this semester, you would need to ask that of the school directly. But I will tell you that in general, most schools are making some amount of compensation to students who have had to leave campus. So you might not be able to get your tuition and fees back, but in many cases they are refunding or prorating a part of your housing if you had to leave the campus and go back home. And same thing for your meal plan. So that's, I guess, what I would say is there's a good chance you can get some money back for housing and food, but not for tuition, because classes moved online, and so your classes have still continued. So technically, you know, that tuition covers whether you're online and in person. And the other thing, to be fair to the universities, is they really had to scale up and ramp up their online offerings, which means they had to pay some money for a lot of technology to support all the classes moving online. So your tuition is helping to support that as well. But it's definitely worth asking about any kind of refund you can get. For those of you who are graduating seniors, college seniors like my daughter, most colleges are not returning money for graduation fees or commencement fees. And again, their purpose for that is they're saying, well, we're doing a virtual commencement. So because of that, there's fees have to go there to pay for the technology to support the virtual commencement. Hopefully, most schools are going to also offer a live commencement after the fact, which I know is what my daughter's school is doing. So that kind of answers that question, hopefully.
But can't you make the argument, Jennifer, that, hey, online is not the same as coming into school and get real learning. How can they charge the same amount? Like, at least they should give us a discount. Like, what do you think about that?
Well, what I think might be different than what's actually happening. I'll tell you what I think. I would agree with that. It's not the same. Watching my own daughter as a college student, seeing what happened when she was in class versus at home on her computer, her education quality is not the same. The colleges are doing the best they can, but it's not the same. But that said, it's not up to us to determine if they should give the money back, right? The colleges are hanging on to the money because they need it. Number one, they were counting on it for their budget this year. They're still trying to pay their faculty. They still have to maintain the grounds of the campuses, even if nobody's on campus. They have to pay for new technology. And of course, they're very worried about losing money coming this fall because a lot of students are not sure if they're going to go ahead and come back in fall. And I know we're going to answer some questions about that too, but that is one of the fears that a lot of the colleges have right now. And so they're kind of hanging on to the money, even though it might not seem right. I do know that they are trying to create a great educational experience online, but I think we'd all be foolish to think it's the same because it's just not.
So there's a question from Jeremy. Do you think a high percentage of high school seniors are going to defer? And just to add something to this, Jennifer, I saw some stats and they said that 36% of students, high school students, were thinking of deferring the next semester. Like, what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I know a lot of kids are thinking about deferring. It's really difficult because if they defer, then they have to look at what their other options are, which we can talk about. If you don't defer, the positive about not deferring is you then, even if you don't start out in person, even if it might start online, at least you know you're at your school that you want to be at. You don't lose time towards your graduation because, of course, those who defer, that means they're also deferring how long it will take them to get their bachelor's degree. And so, if you don't defer, you're able to stay on track. If you do defer, then you lose a little time. However, some students that are deferring are deciding to go to community college for the first semester and then transfer, which allows you to stay on track to graduate. And that's definitely a good way to go because in the event the classes are going to be held remotely, and we don't know for sure that they are, I'll just say that right now, every state is different. Every community is different. So we're all waiting to find out if classes are going to be online. But in the chance that they are online, taking a community college class online versus a university class online is going to be significantly less expensive. So, taking community college classes for the fall semester might be a great alternative. And that's what a lot of students and parents are thinking about when it comes to deferment. However, there are other things that you need to think about before deciding to defer. For example, at least here in California, where I live, if you want to transfer from a community college to a university, you have to have 60 units. That's 60 units before you can transfer. They will not allow you to transfer with just one semester or 2 semesters of community college. And this applies to all of the public universities in California. So for students to decide to defer thinking, oh, I'll go to community college for a semester and then transfer for spring, the public universities are not changing the rules in California, at least not yet. They haven't said that they will. So every state is different. There are some states that will let you transfer with just 1 semester or 2 semesters. So you need to kind of do a little research in your own state and figure out what's allowed.
So Jennifer, like if you are in a well-known university and you choose to go to a college or a community college, would that say that you're kind of losing that name brand of is there a negative effect to that going from, let's say, an Ivy League university to I'm moving over to community classes? Right. Is there a difference in perception from an employer?
Not really, because if you're doing it in 2020, everybody knows why you're doing that. And the other thing is you're not going to get your bachelor's from a community college because that's only a 2-year school. So either way, you're going to have to transfer back to a university. And then anybody will see your BAs from Harvard or from, UNC, Chapel Hill, or wherever you're going.
Oh, that's a good answer. Yeah. Sandra Gomez wants to talk. I'm going to try to have her on. I'm not sure how it's going to work. So okay. Let's give her. Let's try to get one of the students online here to ask you questions directly. Awesome. So let's see. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to do one other question here.
Okay.
By the way, this is all being recorded, guys. So I see a lot of people asking. So you will get the recording tomorrow. There will be an email going out with the replay, FYI. What kind of measures? So Michelle is asking, what kind of measures are going to be taken for the current juniors if so many seniors will skip a year and apply when the juniors do? There's going to be an insane amount of competition. Is that correct?
That is correct. It potentially correct, right? I think that's one of the questions that the universities are trying to figure out, because if students defer from this year, there's going to be reduced capacity next year when this year's juniors are going to be rising seniors and applying to college. So that is a great question. I know the universities have some concerns about it. They're not sure what to expect. What I will say, though, is that because they're aware of this issue, they're looking at it and trying to figure out the best way to handle it. I know some of the universities are actually thinking about doing things a little more creatively. They're maybe thinking of starting their fall semester a little later. That's one of the tactics that some of the colleges are considering. So if school normally would start in late August, some universities are thinking of moving their start date to October or even November, hoping that classes can be online by then. Some are actually thinking of having their so-called fall semester start in January and basically, just delaying the start of fall so that the year 2020 to 2021 would be a little odd in terms of the start time and the end time, but it would maybe prevent some of this bottlenecking that would happen if people defer.
Very cool. So what about, tests like ACT and SAT, and
right.
Are they retakeable, or what's the story with those?
Okay, so most universities, not necessarily all, but most universities are being very flexible when it comes to entrance exams for students that are going to be applying in the fall. So that would mean that if you have not yet taken your SAT or ACT, or if you've taken it and had planned on taking it again and now you can't, a lot of the universities are now making it test optional specifically for this coming year's applicants. So don't despair if you didn't get to take an exam, or if you took it and didn't like your score and you don't want to send it. It's okay in most cases. You should definitely check and be sure for all the schools you're applying to if this is the case for your colleges that you're targeting. But my understanding is that most are making it test optional. But, so the positive side is for those of you who are worried about your test scores and worry you wouldn't do well, for those students, it's a sigh of relief, right? But for those of you who maybe had known you were going to do really well on the exams and now you don't have the opportunity to take them, it can be very frustrating. I think there are going to be some options for taking online versions of these exams. I don't know exactly what the status is of that, but you might check the College Board website and see what's going on there. The other thing to remember is that a lot of colleges were using these scores along with your GPA to make admission decisions. So for those of you then who only have your GPA, if you've got a great GPA, that's awesome, because now you don't have to worry about the tests and you can just focus on, getting in based on your GPA. But there are some students whose GPA may not be as high, and they had counted on using an SAT or ACT score to boost their admission chances. So this is good news for some students, not as good for others. But overall, the universities are being a little bit more flexible. They are more empathetic and more compassionate. So if you have a unique situation and you're writing an essay, to go with your college application, and you can articulate what your situation is, it's going to really help you when you're applying for colleges.
That's a great answer. Patricia is asking, I'm actually graduating community college right now and transferring to university, and now I'm not sure if I should defer. Okay.
Yes, and that's a great question. And a lot of people in that situation are really wondering because, finally, after leaving community college for 2 years, do you want your first experience at university to possibly be remote? Nobody wants that. So, it's understandable to consider deferring. I would say what you want to do, and this would apply also for high school seniors who already have accepted at a university, contact the school. If you're thinking of deferring, whether you're transferring or an incoming freshman, call the school, let them know what you're thinking about, what your concerns are, ask them what their plans are for the fall. They all won't know yet if classes will be online or in person, but you can at least ask them if classes will be online, what will that look like? so that you'll know what the experience would be and can decide what you want to do. And you can also ask if they're going to charge the same tuition or if they might be offering reduced tuition for taking online classes.
Great. Monica is asking, what's your thoughts on students who attend private colleges and possibly switching over to community college for fall semester only?
Yeah. And again, it's like what Adrian had asked earlier about going to an Ivy League or whatever. All the universities understand that this fall, everything is up in the air. They understand that students don't want to learn online unless you plan to be an online student. There are some great online schools. There are lots of kids that take online classes or working adults who take online classes. But for those of all of you watching, and most of you probably were not interested in an online education, and yet here we are. So the universities are very understanding and flexible. If you are considering not enrolling in the fall, you would definitely need to talk to your current university, explain that you are considering taking a semester off and then transferring back, and ask if that's something they will even allow or if they would make you reapply. You definitely want to find that out. And you also want to find out the status of your scholarships, because if you're supposed to be getting financial aid and if you leave for a semester, it may very much impact your financial aid from that school. A lot of private universities offer scholarships, so it may not impact your federal financial aid as much, but it will certainly impact any institutional scholarships that the colleges have offered.
Great. It seems to be an overwhelming questions about money and funding and where they can go. I know that we are doing what we can, and I will send a link to our scholarships that we offer. Our aim is to generate 1,000 awards, so please apply. It's free and you don't need to be a part of our platform. We'll come at the end. In the meantime, Jennifer, do you know anyone else, government funding? Is there any emergency funding for life, for tuition, for being a student? Like, what are your thoughts around that? Is something going on?
Yes, actually, there is something going on. For those of you who don't know, I will sort of back up a little bit here. So many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the stimulus that was put forward by the Trump administration. And that stimulus allowed adults and children that are under 16 to be able to receive a stipend from the government, right? So adults were able to get $1,200 or $2,400 if you're a couple. And then each child under 16 and under could get $500 going to the parents to help provide care for them. Well, who got left out? College students got left out, right? Because older high school students and college students were completely left out of that, because it said that if you can be claimed on another person's tax return, which would be in this case your parents' tax return, then you're not going to get any money, and your parents aren't going to get any money for you. And this is crazy, because at this time, all of these families are having to pay for college, which is an extra cost, right? So if anybody needs the money, it's either the college students or their parents. But what a lot of people don't know is that in that stimulus package, there was money that went to each state to distribute to universities, okay? And so the universities, when they got their money from the stimulus, half of the money that each university received is earmarked to be delivered to students. So while a lot of people are upset and they think that college students were left out, they were, but they weren't, because there's money that can be coming from the colleges directly to students. So, for example, my daughter's school got $20 million. Half of that has to go to students. And it has to go to students to help specifically with COVID. So it can't be held off for, to give to scholarships for next year. It's got to go to this year's students, or if COVID is still an issue in the fall, it can go to those students. So each college has to figure out how they're going to disseminate the funds. And in most cases, what the colleges are doing is they are creating some kind of an emergency grant or scholarship program that students in the school can apply for those funds. They can distribute the money to as many students if they want to, or they can limit it. So some colleges are going to be focusing on the most financially needy students who maybe, were uprooted from their homes and they have other expenses now. Maybe they had to buy a laptop. So for students that are in sort of dire financial circumstances, many universities are prioritizing them, but there also is money available even for students who are not in that situation, depending on how the schools are distributing. So if you are a college student, find out if your school got money from the government, and if so, find out how you can apply for grants or scholarships so that you can have some of that money.
And that will be individual for a single university and what they're going to do with the money.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. We're going to try to get someone in here. Kayla, I'm going to try to see if their video pops up. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's a lot of the same questions coming through here, and also I think a lot of people are thinking, you know, and you can't answer that. What's going to happen next semester?
Right.
How it's the world going to look like? Like nobody knows.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to get some other people. So Dimitri, I added you. It seems like.
While you're doing that, I'm just kind of glancing at the chat here. I'm going to answer a couple questions. I'm a senior in high school. Can I still apply for scholarships? Absolutely. All high school seniors and transfer students can apply for scholarships right now. You can use the ScholarshipOwl platform, but there are also other scholarships that you can apply for outside of ScholarshipOwl. Let's see here. Somebody's saying, is it too late to get scholarships? It is not too late. Scholarships happen year round, so don't give up. And it looks like we're going to get somebody on here, I think.
Abby. So some people are joining. Make sure you guys don't talk on top of each other, but Abby, you are definitely good to go first if you want to talk and if your mic works. I thought I heard some sound.
Hello?
Yep.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, can you hear me?
We hear
yes, we can.
Oh,
and so does the whole world, by the way.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. My question was, I asked earlier. I don't know if you read it, but I was asking if colleges, for example, Florida Atlantic University, was considerate or flexible with their admission terms, since students were not able to retake their SAT scores to make it higher.
Yes, the colleges in general are being more flexible. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to talk over you.
Yes, because with one of my problems is I reach all of the requirements. It's just that I missed the SAT requirements by 40 points. But, you know, I contact admissions and different people, but it looks like I'm getting different answers. So they sent me this link and they said you guys will be able to help me in terms of getting answers. So I'm here.
Okay. I'll do the best I can with this. It is sort of an individual question. You do need to contact the university. But what I will say is that most schools are being more flexible, because there are many students who will want to take the SAT or the ACT more than once. Maybe their first score isn't what they were hoping for, so they study and they take it again. And because the exam dates were canceled, students have been unable to do that. So most universities are being more flexible. You know, they will hopefully rely more on your GPA. What I would say, I don't know how you're making contact with the university. I don't know if it's over the phone or in writing, but I would definitely recommend making a written inquiry, send an email, and hopefully you'll get a response back. If you do get a response over the phone, ask them to send you an email to confirm whatever they've told you, because everything is changing so much. You definitely want an answer in writing about how they're going to handle this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. And your name is Winsley?
Yes, Winsley.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to throw you off here to give room for someone else to ask questions. So just know that once you ask, I'm throwing you out. I'm not trying to be rude here.
No problem.
All right.
Hi. My name's Abby. I am currently a junior at Lassiter High School in Marietta, Georgia. And I'm worried about, I probably, along with a lot of other people, because I've kind of seen a variation of this question in the comments, applying in the fall and us not being able to take the SAT and the ACT. The SAT date has been released August 24th, but for early admissions, you know, like scholarships and stuff like that, you're not going to have your scores back soon enough. And so, like, what are things that we can do on our end of padding it more, that because we won't have that SAT score that we may want?
Sure. Well, as I said earlier, a lot of the colleges are now going test optional with their admissions. So the good news is if you haven't taken the test, or if you only get to take it once at the end of the fall, at the end of the summer, you'll probably be okay, as long as you do at least somewhat well on the exam. So the first thing you can do if you do think you're going to be taking it in August is to study, do your test prep to get the best score that you can. But also find out from all the colleges you're applying to if they are test optional or not, and how they are handling the situation with COVID. As I said, most of them are being flexible. So what else can you do, right? If you're going to be test optional and so many other students are, that's one less piece of information for colleges to look at. So then what you want to do is beef up your application in other ways. So focus on your essay writing, try to write the best essays you can. Hopefully your GPA is pretty good.
Yeah.
So that always helps. Normally in the summer, I say things like, oh, volunteer somewhere, do something enriching for your summer. And there are those opportunities, but not nearly as many, because what can we all do here from home, right? But there are opportunities to do some things from home. And so it's worthwhile to check that out. One of the things you could do is you could find out if there's anything that you can do to volunteer to help with health-related things, right? Because healthcare workers are essential. So maybe there's something you can do in your community to provide help in that area. You can sew masks all summer long, and in your essays, you can talk about all the things you did to support your community. You can bake things and bring them to the hospitals or the fire department. There's all kinds of things you can do, even in this situation. So that's kind of what I would recommend, is do the most that you can this summer. The other thing you could consider doing is taking an online community college class over the summer, because it always looks good to beef up your application that way, and also that boosts your GPA. A lot of the colleges will give you an extra grade point, like an AP class would give you that extra grade point. So that's another thing you can do.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Abby, do you want to go next?
That was Abby.
Well, they're both Abby's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're both. Okay. Abby Cohen, we cannot hear you. I think it's for some reason that the audio
Can you hear me now?
driver.
Yes. Now we hear.
Great. My question is about study abroad. How is this affecting it? Is it effectively canceling it? How is this going to affect years going forward, funding for it? Things like that.
Yeah, I completely hear you. Are you currently in college, or are you still in high school?
No, I'm still in high school. I'm just very interested in study abroad.
Yeah, no, I understand. The good news is you've got 4 more years to get study abroad. So what I would say is probably no study abroad this current fall semester. A friend of mine has a daughter, and her study abroad has been canceled. A lot of the kids that are doing study abroad this semester, of course, were sent home before they couldn't fly anymore. So for 2020, no study abroad. But, and probably even for the spring of 2021, that's still questionable, right? It kind of depends on our situation. But for future years, there should not be an issue, assuming that we can get a vaccine. And of course, that's the big question, right? Is can we get a vaccine? But for most students, there will still be study abroad opportunities going forward after 2021.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rodrigo, it's your turn.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for the webinar, and thank you for letting me join you guys. My question is, this is the first time that I'm joining this thing. So I went to study abroad this semester. I went to Florence, Italy, and I had to come back because of the situation. It was my second semester. I am a junior. I am supposed to graduate next spring. So how I will be able to manage? Is there any additional option for me to go again and study abroad?
Sure.
I'm gonna get any refund for what I went to there, but I haven't joined everything. I just paid everything.
Yeah. I'm assuming you probably contacted the study abroad folks to see if you could get a refund. But, you know, that's something you'll need to do if you haven't already, and they might not do a refund, right? Each organization does it differently. As far as going again, certainly if they won't give you a refund, you can try to see if they will give you a partial credit at least towards your next trip. The other thing to consider is, will this delay your graduation if you go back, right? Because a lot of students doing study abroad does delay their graduation to begin with. But if you try to go twice, it might further delay your graduation. So that's something you're going to want to investigate and look into. Of course, if you don't get to go, and if you later decide to go to grad school, you can always do a study abroad with grad school, or you could travel after you graduate. So there's different options. But you're going to have to contact the study abroad program as well as your school to try to get some more information.
Okay. One other question. I saw that, I mean, I found this link through the ScholarshipOwl email. So I used to receive emails about a scholarship from this email, right? I used to receive information about scholarship. Apply without an essay. You don't need an essay. There's 10 scholarships that you can apply. So I thought that it is like a website that is trying to get your personal details, your personal information, and then it's a scam. I would like to know if by clicking those scholarship or those benefits that is offering are trusted.
Okay.
Yeah, I can answer that. everything we send out is verified by us, and it's legit partners. What you find on our platform, there's a new feature that is coming out, I think this week, which is a confidence score. So it basically tells you how legit is the scholarship provider. Have they awarded students before? Are they paying? So we're starting with a confidence score, but everything that you get from our emails are vetted. We know that these scholarships are safe to apply for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you familiar with the ScholarshipOwl email?
Yes. So ScholarshipOwl is us. That's us. We're ScholarshipOwl. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So that's why you receive that. Yeah.
So
hopefully you can trust us, right?
No, thank you. Because I mean, I used to receive those emails, and it's like I wanted to try it, but at the same time I was like, I shouldn't, because it's my personal information. I don't know this page, and in my email always come spams, and trying to say, oh, you need to pay $200 to get $100,000, something like that. So, and it's it's a good question. A lot of people think that, you know, since we're charging money, but the reason we charge, I think it's like after the trial, you can get on a $9 a month offer, so it equals out. But basically what we're trying to do is we add hundreds of new scholarships. We just yesterday added 24 new scholarships for people who are in law, who study law or are going to study law. So, and those are vetted by us, and we also have a confidence score. And the idea behind ScholarshipOwl really is for you guys to save time. So we go out and find for you. And if you do this manually, you know, there's a jungle out there and you don't know which scholarships to trust. So that's kind of what we're kind of in between, you know, you guys and the scholarship providers. Oh, thank you. I mean, this email was very helpful, so I can know that I for sure I can go into the law, and whatever comes from this email, I can go and log in, because everything was like, I should do it. It's too good to be true. Like, I was something like that.
Yeah.
So, no, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think the next one is Nasra. I think you're up next. Nasra, can you hear us? Maybe it doesn't seem like her mic is plugged in. So in the meantime, we'll go with Lindsay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a high school senior, and I'm taking 2 AP classes now, and I've been I was hoping to do well on the exams, and obviously the exams are still going to happen. But how do you think colleges are going to accept those? Because it's like only 45 minutes for the exam, and it's different. So
yeah, the colleges are on board with those AP exams, even though they're different. So it shouldn't be an issue in terms of them accepting it. The hard part for those of you who are going to take these very unique and special AP exams is that all the test prep books that are out there, all the traditional test prep materials, you kind of fly out the window, right? Because it's different. This is the first year they're doing something like this, and it very well could be the last year. So, you know, unfortunately for students taking the exam this year, it's really kind of up in the air. It's hard to know if you're going to do well. And of course, the AP classes are intended to prepare you for the AP exams, but because the AP exams are a completely different style this year, the prep you get in your classes may not be as high. So here's what I would suggest. First, go ahead and take the exams and, you know, do your best to prepare for them. If you don't do as well as you would hope, and if you still haven't taken classes to meet those credits from college, you can retake those AP exams in May of next year. So let's say, for example, I don't know what your AP classes are, but let's say you were taking the AP US History exam, and let's say you take it and you don't do as well. Then what you can do is not take US History your first year of college and instead study and take the AP exam in May of next year. You can just pay privately and log in and pay for that, take the exam in May. If you pass, then you won't have to take US History for the rest of your college. So it's basically a backup plan so that you have a second option.
all right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And Nasra, can you try to talk again? I thought I heard you in the background.
Oh,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
So I'm a senior, and I have been applied to a lot of scholarships, and most of them, I mean, I don't hear back from them. And also, I have applied one from here. It was I have a dream scholarship, if you remember,
Okay.
and I didn't hear anything back from them.
Okay.
And yeah.
So that's unfortunate. I hope that eventually you'll start hearing back from the scholarships. Typically what happens is, certainly in the ScholarshipOwl platform, but even if you're not in ScholarshipOwl, if you go online, usually there is a deadline for each scholarship. So you might apply to a scholarship and the deadline might be 3 months away, right? So you're not going to hear anything until certainly after the scholarship deadline passes. And then even after it passes, it might be that the only person or persons who get contacted are the ones who are offered the scholarship. But if you keep track of the scholarships you've applied to, each organization will probably list the scholarship winners on their website so that at least you'll know if they've already selected a winner or not. You can also, of course, reach out to those scholarship organizations and follow up and ask for a status of the scholarship applications. I know it's frustrating to not hear. My daughter applied to many scholarships, and really most of them didn't get back to her unless she won, and she didn't win that many, but she won some. So I would just keep at it. Don't give up hope. It's still worth it. And hopefully you'll hear back. And same thing for anything you apply through the scholarship platform. We hope that the scholarship providers will let you know, but they don't always let you know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Also, I've been accepted to a lot of college, and I'm going to stay on campus.
Okay.
And I don't know if this year is going to happen or not. And I don't want to take like online classes.
Okay. So do you know which college you're hoping to go to that you've been accepted to?
Yeah, it's Lincoln Tech University.
Okay, great. So have you contacted the school to ask about what your options are, if you could defer if you wanted to?
No, yet.
Okay.
But I was trying to apply the housing, and yeah.
Yeah, I would say you should contact the school and see what your options are. Unfortunately, most universities are not going to know for at least a couple more months whether or not they're going to have classes online or in person. So we're all kind of in the same boat. But it's a good idea to contact the school, at least find out what they're considering doing and what your options are as a student. Also, I should mention that, you know, normally your deadline to make an admission acceptance is May 1st, but there are some colleges that are now changing the date to maybe even June 1st. So it's possible you may have a little extra time before making an admission decision, but you would need to contact the schools that you applied to and see if you can have more time.
Okay. Thank you.
And one thing to add now, sorry, is that on our platform, that's one thing we're working in, is the feedback loop, so you know if you won or not. So we'd be like, if you apply and you didn't win, then we will update the status in your profile that you didn't win the scholarship. So, and you're not the first one that asks that question, because a lot of people are waiting. We hear nothing, and then you probably apply for maybe 10, 20 scholarships, and so we're working on that. That's a very good question. Thank you.
Okay.
I think Dimitri, it's your turn.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to turn on my mic. I had a question, bouncing off of the other question first, about the whole scholarship thing, and I was gonna ask, I didn't hear the first part of what you guys said on how many scholarships you guys are gonna be, I guess, giving out, because I was just wondering, because I know I do apply to a lot of scholarships and I don't usually get them back sometimes. So.
Okay.
So for us, we are releasing 3 scholarships, and we are constantly adding the number of awards. So that means that one scholarship then can award multiple students. Our goal is to award 1,000 students, so be on our list. Make sure you apply and write a good story with profile picture. And in like 10 minutes, I will post the links to those COVID-19 scholarships that we offer. And we're working really, really hard on adding a lot of awards, and we'll keep working hard. And we know it's very tough for you guys, and the stories that we've been hearing, it's really heartbreaking. So for us, staff in ScholarshipOwl right now is currently working on getting more funds so we can award more students. So so we are on your side here, and we're trying our best.
Sorry, another question was about the stimulus checks.
Okay.
I know that you said since 16-year-olds, you know, and below got it from their parents, but if your parents claim you and you're 18 and up, you didn't get it at all.
Correct.
So I wanted to know about, I guess not about, but a way to ask, or how to ask your school about it. Like, should I just come out and say like, oh, do you guys have money for this? And if so, can I put it towards this year? Or should I just, like, I don't know what to do about it. Like, how do I ask?
Okay, so I'm assuming you're a current college student right now then?
Yeah, I go to Roanoke College. I'm a freshman.
Okay, so the colleges did receive money that was earmarked for students. So there's nothing wrong with going and asking them, hey, you know, I understand that you got stimulus money from COVID. I know that some of that money has to go to students. How are you going to be distributing it? Most of the colleges are running around trying to figure that out right now. So, you know, I know I've heard about it from my daughter's school, from her boyfriend's school. So all the colleges right now are kind of figuring out a process, but it's worthwhile to ask them and find out when that process will be in place and how you can apply.
Gotcha. Are we allowed to use it? Are we allowed to just collect the money ourselves?
Yes. Or, yes, you are.
Like without question, or do we have to give them a reason? Or like? Do
you mean like would it have to go to your parents? Is that what you mean?
No, Dimitri already qualified because everyone is affected by the COVID-19. So you don't need any special reasons. The reason is the position you're in. So everyone is affected.
Right.
So you only need so just ask them. I'm sure that the school has communicated on their pages, or if not, ask them. But I'm surprised that, you know, this comes down to like the information is not flowing. You know, and a lot of people like you don't know that you're entitled to it. So this is it's you know, it's just also there's so much going on now, so it's hard to keep focus on what's really happening. Yeah,
the universities are trying so hard to communicate, but they're overwhelmed. You can imagine, you know, each of you has questions. Imagine if a university with 30,000 students and they all have questions, right? And most people are working from home, so it makes it really difficult because they can't, you know, students normally come in, they wait in line to get their questions answered or whatever, but it's just a different situation. So, you know, we can all have empathy for what they're going through, but you guys deserve the answers. You deserve the information. So don't be afraid to request it. Yeah.
Got you.
Very cool. Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you so much.
I think Priscilla, you're next.
Yes. So I'm currently a junior, and I'm in the process of writing essays for college. Would you recommend that the essays stay on the topic of COVID-19, or would we just write them as we normally would?
I think that really depends. You know, it depends on what the questions are. I don't know if you're using the Common App or if you're applying to different schools. I think that there will probably be a large number of students who write about COVID. So if you're going to do that, I think you need to make sure that the story or the essay you're writing is personal and focusing on how it's impacted your life. If you're somebody who's been truly impacted by it, if it hasn't impacted you as much as somebody else, you might want to write a different essay. You know, what you want is whatever essay you write, you want it to be impactful, you want it to be personal, you want to be emotionally connected to what you write about, and you want to help the admission representative get to know you personally. So, you know, focus on that, and it doesn't have to be about COVID, but if you've got a personal story you want to share, absolutely you can write about it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lena.
Hello?
I still can't hear you. I think it's something, Lena, I think it's something with the audio settings that you got to play with a little bit. There we go.
Now?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I'm a senior in Auburn High School in Washington State, and I'm taking 2 AP courses. So College Board has they have separated some of the AP courses. They've done some of the English AP courses where there is no finals. How will they accept the AP credit for college?
First of all, each university doesn't know what individual schools and classes are doing. So as long as you get a grade for your AP class, and as long as you pass with a C or better, you're going to be able to get the transfer credit or whatever, as long as you pass the exam, right? So that's that the important part from the college perspective is passing the exam. But just as far as your GPA, as long as you get a C or better, you're going to get the GPA bump that you would get.
Okay. I have another question also.
Sure.
So throughout high school, I've taken a couple of AP classes, and now thinking about it, I'm not sure if every AP class would actually be beneficial for my major, especially because I want to major in science. So
Okay.
Is there a way I can know that maybe from a university's website, or I don't know?
So each university will decide how they award AP credits. So if you've taken, 5 AP classes or something, then you should be able to go on the website for the university and see how credit is awarded. In some cases, the schools will award credit if you get a score of 3 or higher. In other schools, you need a 4 or even a 5. So it really depends. It also depends on your major, because in some schools, let's say you're majoring in physics, and if you took the physics AP exam, some colleges would say, no, you've got to take our physics class. So it kind of depends, on each school as well as your major.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, Jennifer, you know awful lot of information. That's amazing. I don't know how you store all this in your head.
It's all there.
So in our chat, we have a lot of questions, and I want you just to go through them yourself because you remember what you answered and important questions, but there's a lot of questions there, and I want to make sure that we go through them.
Okay.
And also, in the meantime, I will post the link now, guys, to the, and I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but I am posting a link to the COVID-19 scholarships that we offer that you can apply for without being a part of our platform. It's free. So so if you see that link, just click it. It will take you to the application.
Awesome.
Go on, Jennifer.
Okay, I'm going to do the best I can. There's a lot of questions in here, so I probably won't get to all of them, but I'm going to do the best I can. Okay. I'm curious about starting until January. I've not been accepted, or I've been accepted for fall. What if I postpone? What happens with my financial aid package? This is a great question. Many students are considering deferring. The answer to your question, though, is they're going to be that you have to contact the university financial aid office to see what your options are. If you do defer, and if they allow you to still get your financial aid, of course, you would only get financial aid for half of the year, not the whole year, because if you're only going to attend for one semester, then you would get it for that semester. If you're going to defer for a full year, then you would have to reapply for financial aid in the subsequent year with your FAFSA. You might be able to retain any university scholarships you've been offered, but that's something to ask the university financial aid office. Okay, let's see here. Somebody's asking a more typical question, which is, I've received $45,000 in scholarships and grants. My parents still have an out-of-pocket cost of $16,000 to $22,000, depending on the college. I've applied for many outside scholarships, but will not know if I've gotten any. What happens if I don't get more free money and I'm short almost $20,000? This is a great question, no matter if we're going through COVID-19 or not, right? You and your parents need to sit down and talk together about the impact of not getting more financial aid. One option is you can take out your federal student loans that you automatically are allowed to get. You can get up to $5,500 as an incoming freshman for student loans. That would be money you pay back when you graduate. If you don't want to take out that loan, then you're going to have a shortfall that you're going to have to figure out something for. You also could take out private loans and pay more money back after you graduate. I personally do not recommend taking out private loans. The interest rates are higher. They don't have the flexible repayment option, so I don't recommend that. If you don't think you're going to have enough money to pay for college without scholarships, and if you don't get more scholarships, you need a plan B. I never recommend people go into debt more than the federal student loans that they're able to get, so I would recommend you look at other options, which is not an answer anybody wants to hear, but it's an answer that you need to hear, because there's nothing worse than going to college and worrying every day if you can pay your tuition or pay your rent, pay for food. You need to take care of yourself first. All right. Let's see. What are some interesting options for plans if I defer, right? So this is a great question. Everybody wants to know, if I defer, what am I going to do? Am I going to sit home all day? Well, you might be. You might be sitting home all day. But hopefully, I'm going to have some water here. Hang on, I'm losing my voice. Hopefully, you will have an option to do some volunteering online if it comes down to that, or maybe get a job that's paid online. There are a lot of remote jobs that you can get now. You know, you probably hear Amazon is hiring. A lot of companies that are providing essential services are hiring now. The other thing you can do, sorry, is you can look at options of things you can do while you're home besides that. I'm trying to think. I had a list of these that I thought of the other day. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there are definitely things you can do if you're deferring. But, you know, you can also go to community college. That's also a great option to do that and take classes while not paying as much tuition. Okay. Sorry, my voice is going here. Let's see. I'm just reading some questions.
Yeah, we'll do one more question, Jennifer, and we'll end it there.
Okay.
And also, by the way, if you guys have a burning question that we didn't answer, please send that to our support@scholarshipowl.com. And if you felt that you didn't get your question answered, you've been waiting for it, and it was really important for you, please send an email to support@scholarshipowl.com, and we will answer it. But we just don't have the capacity to answer it today.
Okay, so I'm going to look for one more question here to answer. Okay, a lot of these were kind of covered already. Okay, how do I decide on a major or decide on a college? So, you know, what I always think about when it comes to deciding on a major is you want to focus on a few things. One, think about what you love to do, and think about what you're good at. Those are probably the two things you want to look at the most. Sometimes what you love to do is not what you're good at. So, you know, it can vary. And if it turns out that that's true, if what you love to do is not what you're good at, there might be ways that you can figure out how to get better at it, so that you can kind of figure out a career for yourself. I would say, you know, you want to be passionate about something, but you also want to make sure it's something you can make a living at. If you are interested in something that might be hard to succeed in, so for example, if you're interested in musical theater and you're thinking of majoring in musical theater, you want to have a backup plan so that you have other options. If you are thinking of being a doctor, you need to make sure you're really strong at science and math. A lot of people have dreams of what they want to do, but if they don't have the skill set that would put them in a natural talent ability to get there, it can be difficult. The other thing is to ask friends and family who know you, right? They might think of something that you haven't thought of. I know for my own kids, you know, I had my own perspective on what they'd be good at. For my son, he had a very specific plan when he was in high school of what he wanted to do. He wanted to be an animator, but he hated to draw. And so my husband and I were like, if you hate to draw, how can you possibly be an animator? And he said, oh, no, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn to love to draw. He went to college, and after one semester, he said, guess what? I'm changing my major. I still hate to draw. And so that's what he did. He changed his major, and he's doing great. So, you know, you have to look at your own ability as well as your passion, and you'll figure out what you want to do. And as far as how to decide what college to go to, once you know what your major is, it's a lot easier to decide on a college because you'll be able to check and see what their strengths are and what kind of program they're offering in the field you've chosen. I'm going to see if I can get one more answer in here because it's not quite 5 o'clock and I got my voice back. Let's see here. What's considered a good GPA? That's a great question. For a high school student, I would say a good GPA, if you want to go into a pretty selective school, is going to be either very close to a 4.0 or over a 4.0. If you are not going to schools that are quite as selective, then anything above 3.5 would be considered a good GPA. What you can do is you can go online and see what is the average accepted GPA and average accepted SAT or ACT score at the colleges you are considering. And you'll be able to see how closely that school fits your own profile. So for example, if you have a 3.6 GPA, you want to look for colleges that typically accept students with a GPA of 3.5 to 3.7, for example. If you know that your target school only accepts students with a 4.0 GPA or higher, and your GPA is 3.6, the chances are not high you're going to get in. So you want to figure out, you know, what are the schools where you're a good match? Those would be called target schools. Schools that are safety schools would be the schools where your GPA is actually higher than what they normally accept. And then, of course, your reach schools are the ones that are going to be harder to get into. I usually recommend that people apply to about 9 colleges, that you pick at least 3 schools that are your match schools or your target schools, pick at least 2 safeties, and then if you want to apply for some reach, you can, but you don't have to. You know, each school you apply to, you have to pay another application fee, and it's, you know, more process and more applications and more writing. So, you know, but I do recommend typically about 9 schools that you apply to.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to add is that, guys, don't be scared. Okay, you are not singled out. This is the whole world. Okay, it's gonna be, they're gonna figure it out. Okay, just be calm, just breathe, relax. It's gonna be fine because it's the whole world. It's just not only you. So all the problems you have, everyone else have. So that is important to think about, that you don't feel like your situation is not going to be fine. It will. They will fix it. We just have to have a patience. And that's something you guys got to think about. Just be calm. They're going to fix this. So it's going to be all right.
Definitely. All right. Well, and people keep asking, I'm looking here, they keep asking, what's the likelihood of classes being online in the fall? You know, I wish that I had a crystal ball. I wish I could tell you. And every state is going to be handled a little differently because each state governor is making their own decisions, right? So you want to stay informed. You want to listen to your governor's addresses. If they speak, you want to look at that. You want to keep abreast of the news online. Read the information, be informed, and that's going to give you some sense of what's happening. Also, read articles online about what colleges are doing. If you see that the colleges you're interested in are talking about possibly offering remote classes in the fall, that's a pretty good indicator that that's the direction that they think it's going to go. But it doesn't mean it will go that way, because all the colleges are hoping for the best and planning for the worst. And that's where you want them to be. You want them to have a plan for you. I know that colleges right now, they didn't necessarily love having to rush everything online for the fall. Now they have through the summer to maybe plan for a better options. So even if you're online in the fall, chances are the quality of the classes are going to be better than what you're experiencing this semester. I know also a lot of the colleges are thinking about having an online experience that approximates the in-person experience. So for example, instead of having it be where you take a typical online class, you can log in, log out whenever you want, work at your own pace. A lot of the colleges are thinking about doing something where you actually log into like a Zoom kind of a meeting during scheduled class times. So let's say the class is normally offered 9 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursday. And if it's online, they're going to want you to log in at 9 a.m. on Tuesday and Thursday. So they're trying to create a more personal, connected experience for students that are taking classes remotely. Some of you may love that, some of you may not, but that's the direction that they're going if they're offering remote classes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I think some of the, yeah, I think one more concern, Jennifer, I'm going to push you for this one because it was a little urgent message there. I'm very sorry. You know, but you have so much knowledge. So whenever you speak, it's very valuable. This is awesome. So some people who don't have a paperwork but they are residents, but they don't have any paperwork at all. Is there any hope for them in this whole thing? Like, what can they do?
Yeah, you know, that's a little bit nebulous, right? In California, I know our Governor Gavin Newsom, said that he's allocating money to undocumented students that qualify under DACA. But there's already a lawsuit now in California to try to stop that from happening because there are some people that don't want undocumented to get assistance. In some states that are not as left-leaning as California, some states that are more right-leaning, there probably will be minimally things that are available to those who are undocumented. For international students, and I know there's some questions from international students about their situation, that's something where you're going to want to contact the school and see what's possible. I know some students are worried about losing their visa and things like that. It's very difficult right now because of all the travel restrictions. So for international students, I think they have unique situations and they're going to need to contact the university that they attend and see what's going on. Some people are asking about if they can get refunds if they're international students. That's a little bit more nebulous. So you definitely need to contact the schools and get assistance that way.
Perfect. This is awesome. I think we're going to end it here, guys. The recording will be available in an email in 24 hours. There is also a survival guide that Jennifer made that is that will be shared now. It's a PDF that you guys can download. It should show up on the screen in a few seconds. I just hit the publish button. I will also include it in the email in case you can't download it